Namaste, good morning guys. I just wanted to make this quick video. I noticed uh, there's a lot of, you know, stuff going around in the world, and particularly, some of the different books and teachings that people are propagating. Just wanted to discuss that from a perspective of a yogi. Uh, in particular, one of my friends, he just bought the full volume set of the teachings of Swami Vivekananda. So you have a lot of these different swamis and so-called yoga teachers and different teachers out there, and they're propagating their different consciousnesses or their solutions to the problems of society and people in general. And that's the point. You read the book and you imbibe some of their consciousness, and they try to share the solutions to the problems that they've dealt with, and then you in turn try to apply whatever truth you can extract from their words or teachings into your own life. So that's one of the learning processes from books. But what Vivekananda is actually propagating is that and actually it's similar to some of the other different New Age teachings, like the law of attraction, and basically it's they're saying the solution is that you just need to remember and realize how special you are, and that you are so very special, and you just need to remember how special you are. And in different ways, Vivekananda is saying that you are the most special. You're actually the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Person, and you are the center of the universe, but you forgot that you are in fact God, and that you just need to meditate to remember that you are God. You are the supreme cause of all causes, just like everyone else. And in this way, what he's actually doing is he's actually denying the very existence of God as a separate living entity, as a separate supreme being. He's saying that, oh, there is actually no separate supreme being. It's actually me. I'm the supreme being, and so are you, and so is everyone. And there's no real supreme being because we're all him. And so it's a form of disguised atheism. And for the person who actually has a loving relationship with the Supreme Lord, it's actually quite obnoxious. And if you take those teachings and you imbibe that sort of consciousness, which I'm not saying it's good or bad, but if you look at it in a broader perspective of um, being a living entity on this journey in in the embodied condition, through repeated birth and death, through many lifetimes, realizing that you're slowly making progress in transforming your consciousness into one that is not self-centered but God-centered, and that when you have that transformation take place and you have a God-centered consciousness, your dormant love for God is reawakened, and in that state or condition, you are now eligible. You are in fact uh, entering into the kingdom of God by that consciousness. And so if we analyze as that is the goal of life, that is the human goal of life, is to develop love for God, then we can see that these teachings of Vivekananda Swami are actually just going to take us in a polarized opposite direction of that goal of life. So it's actually a big obstacle on the path of spiritual progress to imbibe the consciousness from someone that you are God and that everyone is God. Now, uh, he may still be teaching that we are not the body, which is good, but there's a limit to his teachings. So this is part one, to be continued. Namaste. This is part two of the video, where we're discussing some different philosophies that are popular in today's society, and the different conclusions and solutions that they're proposing. So before I present the Vedic or the yogic conclusion, we'll discuss a few more philosophies. But first, let me please offer my respects to my spiritual teacher and spiritual lineage, which is it's a common practice, just as if one walks into a karate dojo, and they bow down to the previous masters. We also do the same thing in yoga practice through prayer. So if you can and you would like, please join along with me. I'll say each word slowly and you can repeat it after me. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Siddha Swarup Ananda Pada Mahamsa Ite Nami Ne Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nitya Nanda Shri Adwaita Gad Adhar Shivas Ade Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Thank you. So we hope and pray that our efforts today will be able to help you become more free in your life by giving you different, or shining some light on the different choices that you have. Because the real question is, what should I do, with my time and energy? And the solutions that Vivekananda Swami and a lot of these other people are saying is that, well, the solution to all of life's problems is just to remember and recognize and realize how special you are. And the special comes in different forms, like Vivekananda says, you are God, and then there are other teachers, Eckhart Tolle, and I read his stuff in college quite a long time ago. I don't remember the exact wording, but a lot of the New Age teachers are saying, you just need to remember that you're actually a co-creator of this universe, and just remember your real identity as a magnificent, special being with infinite power within you. And in such ways, they like to think of how special they are and flatter each other and flatter one another, and it's very appealing to the mind, because the mind loves to be flattered. The false ego likes to hear nice things. Oh yes, I'm so great and special, and in this way we become really puffed up, and actually this can only make us more arrogant and more envious of the position of God as a separate supreme being who is higher than we are, and more dominating and more superior. We don't. So the mind doesn't really like to accept that generally. It's not attractive or appealing. It doesn't quite doesn't resonate really with me that someone else could be better than me. So this is the idea, or the consciousness of arrogance, and that is actually what will take you and prevent you from experiencing the highest happiness and the highest pleasure, and it will distract you from the real path of humility, the path of being lower than the blade of grass, being the most fallen, but not pitying, not self-pitying, but actually being humble in the realest sense of knowing that, yes, I am infinitely small. There are trillions and bazillions of other living entities out there, and they are all just as special and just as equal as I am in the eyes of the Supreme Lord. However, the Supreme Lord is even more special because he is the reservoir of all pleasure and all love and all good qualities, and everything is emanating from him, including myself, and I'm just a part of his energy. Therefore, if I can cultivate or develop a consciousness which is centered around him instead of myself, then I am headed towards a path of freedom, non-enslavement from my mind and my senses. No longer do I have to constantly follow and do everything that my body is telling me that I need to do all the time, or that my mind, and no longer do I have to follow every single thought that occurs in my mind. I become free in this very lifetime, slowly, gradually, by this process of yoga. So the point of this video is to shed some light on these different worldviews, which they're offering solutions, but there is an inadequate fund of knowledge because the teachers or the people who are sharing their mindset or worldviews, they have actually not come into contact with parampara or a disciplic succession, and therefore they have no fund of knowledge of knowing what actually is their position and what is their natural function and what is the goal of human life. So they propose some different goal or some different solution, like uh, just remember how special you are, you know? And in this way, people think, oh, that's really great, you know? And then they buy the book and they order the movie, and then the guy gets a lot of money, and he's thinking, I'm just so special, I'm the center of the world. And in this way, he's living independently or separately from uh, his real self-interest and his real position, which is in a loving relationship with the Supreme Person, separate but not equal to. So this is important that we understand our position, that we are actually dominated by different forces in this world, that we're not the Supreme Lord or the Supreme Enjoyer. You know, there's the book The Law of Attraction, and this is another one of my friends is really into, and a lot of these different New Age books coming out, that, oh, well, the vibration of the water molecule is changed by the water, and that movie What the Bleep, quantum mechanics, we can affect the world with our mind. It's really cool. We can do all kinds. We can, you can endlessly go on the mental platform, but you have to actually get to the platform of the heart to go beyond just the mental speculative level and actually be able to apply the knowledge that you received. So we can use the law of attraction. I mean, we're not saying that these are false, these laws of energy and these different ways that you can apply quantum mechanics, to try to manifest what you want. But there are many other things involved. Um, you know, I cannot just change a stoplight from red to green, and this is another indication that my will is actually not supreme, that there is in fact a supreme will that is higher than mine. So, Vivekananda, he would advocate that, yes, yes, you can change the stoplight green, you know? And a lot of these other guys, because they want to, and we all have this to some degree. We all want to be the supreme enjoyer. We want to be the supreme lord. We want to be the center of attention, and we want everyone else to love and admire us. And because we have that tendency, we we have been given a chance in this very lifetime to try to play out that role here in the world, to try to accumulate things and live our life centered on ourselves. But if you do it long enough, you learn through practical experience that this world is actually not a world of pure pleasure and happiness. And for some reason, even though I'm just living for myself, I should be, I have a lot of money and I have full facility to enjoy my senses all the time. But, look at Robin Williams, look at Heath Ledger. A lot of these different celebrities that have a lot of money, they are simply so miserable because they have no happiness in their heart, no satisfaction, no peace. So we have to turn back to the source of that. We have to turn to the great teachers. You have to do the work yourself to be sincere, be interested, and check whether or not a teacher is actually bona fide, whether or not what they're saying carries authority. Who is their spiritual teacher, and who is their spiritual teacher, and where does this lineage start, and what are these teachings that are being presented, and will that take me closer to my goal, the human goal of life, which, as we mentioned before, is to develop or reawaken this dormant love for God that's within the heart of every being. Will this take me closer to that goal, or will it bring me further away? This is the fundamental question that we have to ask, because if a teaching will take us further away, like the impersonalist Swami Muktanandas and Vivekanandas and so on, if we adhere to their belief system and we absorb their thought patterns, yes, that affects us energetically. It's just like we digest information, we digest food, we digest information by hearing it, and it goes into the mind. So it's like junk food, you know. It's taking us further away from the goal. It's simply blocking our progress towards the goal by taking us in the opposite direction. And it'll have a very subtle effect. You won't even notice it. But all of a sudden, you find that, oh, I'm not really attracted to that whole, idea of, serving someone else. I mean, serving, being a servant. I mean, servant, fetch me a pail of water. You know, I don't want to be that guy. He has to do something he doesn't want to do. And that's actually slavery if you don't want to do it. But you actually find a better example of servitorship in a partnership relationship of husband and wife, where they are just so completely enamored by each other that their happiness is in serving the other one. They would much rather go up, and they actually find motivation from that love. Wow, I want to go and I want to make a nice meal just so that he or she can enjoy it. That that's the motive. It's not that I want to go make a nice meal for myself. It's that I want to do it for someone else. So if you redirect that onto the Supreme Lord and you develop this love for him, all of a sudden, wow, he's so amazing. I want to do this for him. And you do that as an offering with love. That is called loving servitorship, and it is satisfying to the soul. So this is the consciousness that we are trying to recommend to everyone, because you can be really happy in this consciousness, and you can be free from anxiety, depression, and fear, and loneliness, and grief, and heartache. And it is the natural condition of the living entity to be free in this way, not be controlled by the senses. Modern society and many teachers will simply try to propagate this idea that, oh, just it's natural just to do whatever your mind and body says, and you should just follow it and follow it and follow it. But anyway, this is another subject matter. But we can see time and time again through many examples that this path of hedonism, of sense enjoyment and endless consumption, simply enslaves a person. It keeps them in a condition where they are forced against their will to act, to follow the lust, to follow the desires, and they have no freedom whatsoever. So this is the path of freedom that we're recommending, is to search out for yourself a spiritual teacher who is teaching the truth. Analyze what they are saying. Does it align with Scripture? Does it align with other saintly teachers? Does it align with the Lord in the heart? And then, based upon that perception or that determination, pray internally whether or not this person you can trust. And then, if you are sincere, from within your heart, you will know, you will be guided to your teacher. But if you continue reading all kinds of books from all kinds of different authors without checking the source or where it's coming from, then what will happen is, because you have many blind people trying to lead the blind out there, so-called fake. They call themselves gurus, swamis, yogis, but they're actually just people, just like normal, ordinary people, but they have developed this consciousness which is contradictory or counterposed, or that will take you completely further away from the goal of life. So you have to be really careful and watch out. And if you do end up reading too much of that, it can actually affect your own progress on the path of freedom, because you will gradually find yourself less and less attracted and less drawn to healthy, conducive spiritual activities. Just like, because when you read something, you're associating with that person. You're having their association there. You're letting that influence take over you. So if I want to be a triathlete, what am I going to do? I'm going to associate and hang out with really top athletes that are going to push me and make me compete and make me go to the next level. But if I hang out with people that are not really into exercising and they just want to eat all the time, then that's that's what's going to happen to me. So anyway, this just about concludes our video for today. So thank you guys all for watching. And if you have any questions, just let me know. And we have another awesome video that we're going to release really soon. So I hope you guys check that out. And thanks again. Namaste. And so similarly, if I associate with people who are not athletic, who are not interested in running, jogging in this analogy, then that's going to influence me in that way, and it's going to be counterproductive for my goal. So we should always be careful, and we should to the most degree that we have ability, to the ability that we're able to whatever let me say it, whatever degree that you're able to affect your association, you should try to move it into a positive direction and watch your diet, not just what you eat with your mouth, which is important, but what you put into your ears and your mind, what you listen to, what you read, what you watch. This is a very important process or stage of our journey of using the higher intelligence to direct what is influencing the stream of our thoughts in our mind, and we decide what the goal is, and we decide what we're going to influence or input into our mind to bring about that desired change. So I encourage you to make the goal of life what the saints and yogis recommended, the real ones, which is to reawaken this dormant love for the Supreme Lord, to understand your real identity by approaching a spiritual teacher. I've had the great fortune of coming into contact with a bona fide acharya who has taught me that actually I'm not this body, that this body is temporary and is constantly changing, and even every 7 years the matter that makes up this body is completely replaced, meaning that I take a picture of myself 7 years ago, and there's not one piece of matter that's still left in this body that I have today that was there 7 years ago. So I can understand from a philosophical point that I am not matter, that I am actually spirit. I am a separate type of energy. And I've learned about the subtle body, the mind, intelligence, and false ego, which we can talk more about later. Another covering of the soul, just like Russian dolls are covered with many layers into the inside. There's many coverings obfuscating or preventing the light of the soul from shining through and preventing us from experiencing our true realist nature on the deepest level of permanent, constant peace, permanent, constant happiness, permanent, constant knowledge or enlightenment. So these things will be gradually reawakened as you uncover your true essence or your true identity as a living entity, an eternal living entity, a part and parcel of the Lord, forever related to Him, just like the spark of a fire, not above Him, not equal, but subservient in love to Him. And through understanding this identity as spirit, one can actually come to understand his real specialness. Not that I am special, that I am God, or that I am, special because of my own powers and abilities in creating or in dominating or in mastering over others, but my specialness in that I am a child of the most perfect person, the most perfect friend, the most perfect beloved, the most perfect individual living entity that there ever was and ever will be, that I came from. And just even though that I am insignificant in that there are millions and billions and trillions of other living entities who are not worse or better than me, or rather equal. Even though this makes me somewhat insignificant, just like a grain of sand on the beach, I understand that He loves me unconditionally, and He will never forget me, and He will always do everything He can to help me come back to Him, because such is the unconditional nature of the Lord's love for us. So I don't have to self-pity in that, oh, I am so small and insignificant. I can understand that even though I am nothing at all, that I will not be forgotten or neglected, and that the Lord's mercy and love is there for me, and He is waiting for me at every moment to turn to Him. So in our yoga practice, we use what is the what's called the prime benediction for humanity, or the most recommended process to uncover that true identity as a living entity, and that is the process of mantra meditation. So to conclude our discussion, let's please have some mantra meditation for at least a few minutes. I'll say the mantra Go Pa La, 3 syllables. So please repeat after me. Go Pa La. Go Pa La. So let's say it together. I'll say it a few times, and then you can, actually I'll just continuously say it since this is a video, and you can join in as you get the melody at home. Gopala, 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 Gopala. One more verse. Gopala, 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 Gopala. Gopala. Very easy. Namaste.